Hello. Wednesday, August 21st. Got my coffee. I hope y'all are ready. Not going to take too long. Usually these talks last about an hour. You can put it on 1.25 or 1.5 or 1.75 playback speed if you want. That's what I do to get more content in my brain. I guess there's different types of learning. So if I'm learning about complicated non-statutory trusts and how money flows in and out of bank accounts and how you draw upon the note of the assets that you conveyed into that corpus and all that stuff, then I'm going slow. But if it's motivation or if it's concepts that you don't need to see visuals for so much, then I put my playback speed on. Look at that. Look at what happened. What happened there? Look at that crookedness. My face, dude. I can't ever get the lines right, and then I notice I'm like, stupid. Anyways, okay. My beard, I think I touch it too much, but my chin, because I have like a butt of a chin. So my chin I got these two a bone here and a bone here, and then in the middle of those kind of like a butt crack. And so the hair kind of goes like, and then like I wake up in the morning and it's all over the place. And then I'm like, okay, how do I see that? It's like, it's just not filled in yet. And it's bothering the crap out of me because I can't get it, I can't get it perfect. all the things that we wish we didn't have to deal with our looks or our features. Anyways. Okay. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a week and underestimate what they can accomplish in a long period of time, like 5-10 years. I think about it in terms of when I'm coaching someone or doing some mentorship. Say it's someone who, I don't want to get too close to home here, but I'm going, say, you need you need to really organize your day. Just say you're working on organizing your day. And so when you enter into like a mentorship, if you're a mentee, you can get really excited and you can go, oh, okay, I'm going to start blogging. I'm going to read the Bible and pray every day. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm going to work out every day except for Sundays. I'm going to post 5 videos to all 5 of my social networks every day. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And you add all this stuff on your plate and you haven't ever done that before. You've not done any of these things before. And then you start adding all these new behaviors into your calendar. And after day 3, you're probably already off pace. Maybe you're really good and you go for like a week. So you go from like Monday to Sunday and you keep all that regimen. You keep it and you stick to it. And then maybe after week 1, when you're into week 2, you start slacking. Oh, you slept until you hit snooze 5 times. You didn't wake up at 6. You hit snooze 5 times. So you actually woke up at 7:30 or 8. And then you didn't have time to do your affirmations. And then you didn't have time to do your eating regimen. You had to run out the door to work and blah, blah, blah. So that's how I see all the time as, someone who is going to burn out completely or get off track and do themselves no favors by adding all these extras to your schedule all at once. So they overestimate. There's an example of overestimating what you can accomplish in a short period of time. And I go, people do that all the time. They just take that concept, that framework of thinking, and they apply that to whatever the money thing is. So, there's a lot of people, I've done this, where you purchase an info product. You got this awesome info product. But then you're like, this info product cost me $10,000, let's say. And this info product is supposed to teach me how to make $10,000 in a month doing whatever, marketing. And you're like, okay, I can do this. And then you start going into and getting all the, you go through the mindset training, and then you go through the tools training, and then you go through the assets training, and then you go through the sales training, and then all of a sudden you realize, what you thought was going to be kind of a quick process, it's actually going to take years for you to develop a business where you can make whatever money you're making or whatever. When you get into the thing, you realize the sacrifice that it takes to have a life like that. That's what I'm saying. You don't know, like, people think if they buy a product, or if they, purchase mentorship, or if they start some new training regimen or new workout regimen, or a New Year's resolution or whatever, you're really excited in the beginning because that's that emotion. You're ready for the change. You feel like your misery has exceeded your fear factor. You're ready to move. You're ready to change. You're ready to get to the next playing field in your life. And it can be very discouraging when you start to slack, or when you start to get off of that regimen. And it happens very quickly. And then after a month, you haven't accomplished anything, because you're doing too many things. You're trying to implement too many new practices in your life. You're just piling on too much change too quick. And so how that manifested for my wife and I in our bookkeeping practices, you have 100 problems, let's say, on a piece of paper. Let's not exaggerate. You have 20 problems. You're the biggest problems in your business, the biggest problems you have to solve for in your business, the things you have to work for, the investments you have to make, the people you have to hire, the processes for hiring or firing that you need to have down, your HR policy, your bonus structure, all this stuff. Okay. Well, what you can't do it all at once. And it's not going to all get done today. You have to take one problem, the most pressing problem, the problem that will affect the most change, the most positive change in the company, and you have to work on that one problem. And then once that problem's done, then you go to the next problem, and so on and so forth. And so you eat the elephant one bite at a time. And so I think about how most people do it. They try to eat the elephant all at once. And then it doesn't work, so they get discouraged. And then the addictive behaviors that are negative begin to come out. And before you know it, you're 6 months behind on what you promised yourself you'd do. And then you never touch it because you're discouraged, because you think, man, this is too much. I don't know how I'm going to keep my job and be a husband and be a parent and all this stuff. So it can get out of control really quick. Okay. So we overestimate what we can do in a short period of time, but we underestimate what we can accomplish over a long period of time. For instance, yesterday, and I've kind of been sticking on this, talking about assets and how to be rich, the only thing you have to do, this is crazy, but with all the gurus and social media from the last 20 years and your ads and influencers and, Gary Vaynerchuk, you got to be hustling 375 days a year, and you can't ever quit, and you can't sleep. And I'm not Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, Gary Vaynerchuk has a lot more money than me. I don't need Gary Vaynerchuk's money to be happy. I've got plenty of money that my assets produce for me on a regular basis. And so how you get rich, how someone who's poor gets rich and keeps it, is not a high paycheck. It's not your high paycheck. You got to stop thinking about that. Poor people focus on their paycheck. Rich people focus on acquiring assets. Okay. So while you're taking all your time trying to negotiate your salary higher, trying to look for and shop around for better jobs that pay more marginally, um, you're not getting money fast enough, and so you just thinking about that paycheck. You're like, I have to earn more. But the crazy thing is, if you're a W two, if you have a W-2 job, you have to earn you whatever you earn, the more you earn, the more you get taxed. Somebody who makes $1 million in wages every year, you're not probably you're in the 40+% tax bracket. Like in California, if you're in California or some blue liberal state where they like to steal all your money, the Republicans do it as well. It's just that they're a little behind the Democrats in that regard. All those people are picking from the same apple basket. They're in a club and you ain't in it. And the government's only plan is inflation and taxation. And so to break out of that, you can't be a W-2, because say you make $1 million wages, it looks really good on the top line. But then after those taxes hit, after all your expenses hit, um, after your marginal tax savings with whatever deductions you have for whatever, fixing up your home, or, you're going to be taxed nearly 50% on those wages. And then, you know, did you make $1 million? No, you only made 500 or whatever you net at the end of the year. So I'm just going, it's not about your paycheck, man. Now, a paycheck is great. And in the beginning, that's an asset. It's an active, involved, non-passive asset. And most assets are non-passive. This whole thing about passive income, dude, you have to have people, you have to have technology, you have to know what questions that you need to ask. There's so many things that are involved with passive, and there's a myth around passive. Most things are not passive, especially in the beginning. You are going to be needed, and with any investment, just about, other than Bitcoin, you can buy Bitcoin and just leave it, never sell it, and in 10 to 20 years, you're going to be very rich, and you'll be able to borrow against that and leverage that asset. Not only is that a great store of value, it's the only investment of its kind ever in the history of mankind. In 14 years, it's already captured 1/14 of the market cap of gold. These are 2024 numbers. And gold's been around since the beginning of time. So in the next, 14 years, oh my gosh, what is Bitcoin? What is Bitcoin? How much uh, will the market cap of Bitcoin be? So there's things like Bitcoin that you can invest in, and you can just buy and hold and wait, and then you're going to be rich, period. But you ain't going to be able to get any Bitcoin after this year unless you're mining it, because it's all going to be off the exchanges. It's not going to be available. Nobody understands this. Well, very few people in the world understand this, and I'm one of them that understands it. And I don't have to have, I don't have to be able to understand cryptography to understand markets and understand that the greatest minds in the world are all going towards crypto when they graduate their Ivy League, computer science courses. They're going towards crypto and blockchain and developing the new financial infrastructure, which is cryptocurrency and blockchain. And so the richest people in the world are gobbling up Bitcoin right now. What does that tell you? It tells you that something is happening. Something is happening, whether you understand it or not, and it's important to pay attention to those things. So what I'm saying is, when it comes to investing, when it comes to getting rich, I don't even know if I said it, because I can keep talking, and sometimes and I don't understand. I can't always. I don't know what I said all the time, because I'm talking about this stuff all the time in my daily life. But I go, okay, well, what is the one thing that the rich do to get rich and stay rich that the poor don't? The rich acquire assets. The poor go to work, get the paycheck, focus on the paycheck, come home, Oh, you got money this month? Cool. Okay. Well, next month I'll get a paycheck again. And next month I'll get a paycheck again. And then you rely on that paycheck and you go home every day and you watch your Netflix without working on your assets. A job, having a job and no other assets is financial suicide. If all you're doing is focusing on your job for your future, that's so like the 1960s, y'all. You have to invest in your future because the cheese inevitably is going to move. Your industry is going to change. Technology is going to disrupt. Black swan events are going to take place that you can't predict. You have to be prepared. How do you prepare? You invest. What do I invest in? Assets. Assets. Okay? So I can't scream it loud enough for broke people or poor people. Well, how do I acquire assets? I can't even pay my bills every month. Then you have a mind and skill problem. Okay? So instead of investing in Bitcoin or buying a business or something right now, you need to invest in your own personal development. Ben, I've got $5,000. That's all I got to my name. How am I going to get an asset with that? Have you ever heard of a vending machine business? Have you ever heard of Crexy? Have you ever heard of Subject 2? Have you ever heard of wholesaling real estate? Have you ever heard of mowing lawns? Have you ever heard of picking weeds out of flower beds? Have you ever heard of pressure washing? Have you ever heard of soft washing? Have you ever heard of drone soft washing? Have you ever heard of, I could go on and on. Laundromats, being a mechanic, being a bookkeeper. I don't know. What rich guys do you know? What are they doing? Do you ever talk with them? Do you seek guidance from everyone? Do you have a mentor? There's all these things that people think about, though, and they get distracted on. Whereas I'm going, listen, for a poor dude, if you ain't got it up here yet, if you're not prepared to go, buy a $10,000 aged shelf corporation from Derek Whitehead and walk into the bank and get a loan on demand for $500,000 to then go do business with, which is how the rich really do it. Rich people that have the brains, that understand the way that lending works and understand the way that funding works and understand the fact that we're on the water, y'all. We're under maritime law. We're under a central banking debt-driven economy, a credit-driven economy. The rich understand where to get the funding. Poor people think that the money's the problem. Oh, I'm just not making enough money. Oh, I need everything. Everything costs money. Oh, I want to go do that. Oh, I want my band to blah, blah, blah. Oh, I want my whatever to. You always think that the problem is money. It's not. Money ain't the problem. Money flows like water to age shelf corporations with a minimum of 3 tax years, January to April. And then you walk into the bank with your correctly structured C corp, and you can borrow anywhere between 100 to 500,000 on the spot. Oh, but my credit's messed up. Well, then fix your effing credit. Poor people are not poor because they're stupid. Poor people, if you started off your life poor, that's not your fault. If your parents were poor, that's not your fault. If you went to public penitentiary, aka public school, that's not your fault. It did you no favors. That's what made you broke. You went to school. School makes you broke. Your friend group makes you broke. It's not. There's no mystery to what makes people broke. The mystery is how can you live for, you know, 80 freaking years and die broke? It's one thing to be born broke. It's another thing to die broke. If you're 80 years old and you're broke, that is it's the price of neglect. There's a book called The Price of Neglect. I don't even know what that book is about, other than what neglect costs. But I just think about that phrase, the price of neglect. No legacy, no inheritance to your grandkids, which is what a righteous man does. But it's not too late, because it doesn't take a long time to acquire assets. And if you're 80, God help you, you've lived 4 years, about 4.5 or 3.5 years longer than the average age of death, at least for men in 2024. I think it's 76.8 years old or something like that, 76, 77 years old. If you're 80, okay, that just means you have a lot less time to go get an asset. Okay. But can you do it? Yeah. So what I'm saying is this: if you don't understand C Corps and age shelf corporations and how to take a company public and what to invest the funding in so that you can continue to go get more funding, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know that play, then get a good freaking job. Get a good job. How can I get a good job and I have no skills? Then invest in yourself. Well, how do I do that? I have no money. Then you're a bitch. What do you want me to do? I'm going to wipe your butt too? You want me to pay all the bills for your kids? If you are having children and you are broke, you fell off the stupid tree. You are stupid. If you are having children and you cannot provide for what you progenited, is that the word? If you knocked up some woman and you cannot provide for those children, you have a morality problem. You don't have a money problem. You have a morality problem. You have a common sense problem. You have a retardation problem. You need to put a Jimmy on, bro. You need to not be reproducing. You need to stop. You need to jerk off into a cup. Excuse my French. I don't want to be vile here. What I'm talking about is people are stupid. They're not stupid like unintelligent. They just don't take the time to think through things. Poor people don't. Poor people are the worst people in the world to work with. Don't take it from me. Look it, I got something for you here. This is amazing. This is amazing. Okay. This is from, where is it? This is from Jack Ma. This is amazing. Hold on 1 minute here. You got to hear this. Jack Ma, dude. Jack Ma is the chairman of Alibaba. He is a Chinaman. He's Chinaman. Okay. And I pulled up a quote the other day from Jack Ma. What'd he say? And he says this, and I quote, "The worst people to serve are the poor people. Give them free, they think it's a trap. Tell them it's a small investment. They'll say, I can't learn much. Tell them to come in big, they'll say no money. Tell them try new things, they'll say no experience. Tell them it's traditional business, they'll say hard to do. Tell them it's a new business model, they'll say it's MLM. Tell them to run a shop, they'll say no freedom. Tell them run a new business, they'll say no expertise. They do have some things in common. They love to ask Google, listen to friends who are as broke and hopeless as them. They think more than a university professor and do less than a blind man." Okay. That is straight from the billionaire Jack Ma. Now, is Jack just being a jerk? Is he just being a douchebag billionaire because he can? I don't ever get that vibe. I've never gotten that vibe from Jack. Okay. I'm sure Jack is not his name. Jack cannot be this guy's name. He Americanized his name. He had to, which Jack's. Let's figure that out. What's Jack Ma's real name? Is Jack Ma's birth name? Let's see this. Ma was born. Okay. What was it? This says that he was born in Hangzhou, Zhejiang, China, I think, as Ma Yun. So yeah, he had a jack somehow. Anyways, yeah, can't fool me with that Chinaman stuff. Um, anyways, I know because my wife's Korean and her mom's Korean, and so her mom goes by Judy. That's her American name, but her Korean name is Poksun. Poksun Pak. Poksun Pak. Okay, so they all switch their names. Like, so if you meeting some Asian dude with a thick accent or woman, and they have an American name, just know that ain't their birth name. Anyways, okay, you acquire assets, and so what I'm saying is this: that it's easy to, and then take someone who's like, I guess according to death statistics, I am at midlife. I'm 38 years old. 38 times 2 is 60 plus 8 plus, right, 60, no 38, 60 plus 10, 70 plus 5, yeah. So I'm about, according to how long men live, 76 years or whatever, 77 years, I'm about midlife right now. And so I'm going, okay, I'm broke. Say I'm broke. Ben, I have like a horrible job that I hate. I hate my job. I'm broke. And now I'm not, like, I have like barely, we barely make it every month. We barely make it. But, I need to make more. I have a vision to leave an inheritance for my kids. I'm 40 years old. I don't know what to do. I'm discouraged. I'm fat. I'm overweight. Um, my wife is starting to have some health issues. My kids are, I can't, I feel really bad because I can't send my daughter to Irish step class because that you have to buy these gowns, and these gowns are like $5,000 each, and blah. I don't know what the thing is. I'm just saying you have pressure, okay? And then the inflation's happening, and then you're being taxed up the yang, and you're in this doom loop. How do you get out of the doom loop? That's what I'm at. That's what I'm getting at, is how do you find hope when you're in a doom loop, which is basically what the federal government is in. The federal government funds the government with treasury. They sell treasury bonds. Okay, this is crazy. The federal government funds its operations with treasury bonds. But they have to print money. It's crazy because they have to sell their treasury bonds. How am I saying? They have to sell their treasury bonds. So countries like China or Saudi Arabia or whatever buy their T-bills, right? And then what they do is, like the last year, countries have not been buying up T-bills like they were in the past because the dollar's been denigrated. So they're not keeping their purchasing power like they were. The purchasing power that those T-bills supposedly retain, they're not keeping because the United States prints money, so that devalues and degrades the dollar and the purchasing power. That's all money is purchasing power. And then what they do, so since the China and Saudi Arabias and those countries are not buying as many T-bills, the federal government prints more money to go buy their own T-bills. That's what you call a doom loop. That's a doom loop. The doom loop of most Americans' lives is, according to Forbes 2017, and I'm sure there's newer articles on this, but for every dollar, this is for 78+% of Americans, 77, 78%. For every dollar they earn, and that's before taxes, for every dollar they earn, they spend $1.33. For every dollar they spend, or for every dollar they earn, they spend $1.33. What do you call that? That's a doom loop. That's a doom loop. Because what they're spending the extra 33 cents on is not, they're not assets, they're liabilities. People think a personal dwelling, a home that they live in, they think that that's an asset. No, assets pay you every month. Is that paying you every month, or they pay you every quarter? They pay you every semester. They pay you every year annually. So if you're not, if the things that you buy with your debt, with your credit, because that 33 cents is debt, is credit. If you're spending a third of what you earn before taxes on liabilities that take money from you regularly, you're a stupid poor person. You're stupid. It's not that you're not intelligent. It's that I don't know what's wrong with you. You can't control your spending. Okay. Brad Lee, I understand what he's saying sometimes, because he's like, yeah, if you know what, live your life, dude. Like, people say all the time, they have their dream cars that they want to drive and blah, 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 but you ain't ever driven. Just go buy one and just make more money. That's the stupidest advice I've ever heard from anybody. The stupidest advice. I don't care how much money Brad Lee has. That's the stupidest advice you could ever give a poor dude. It's stupid. Learn to live within your means. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Learn to live within your means. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so what's the plan for acquiring your first asset? Okay, well, hold on. Before we get there, let's talk about this overestimating, underestimating thing. Since 2020, my wife and I have been building a bookkeeping practice. She had been working on it for about 3 years prior to 2020. 2.5 years, something like that. 2.5, 3 years. I was doing other things business-wise. The bottom kind of dropped out of my plans in 2020. It wasn't what God wanted me to do. It was clear. It was clear. It was like, it doesn't even matter. I've talked about this before. But then I joined her business in 2020. And we grew 300% year over year for 3 years in a row. I don't know if you understand that. 100% growth year over year. So we grew in 2020 from X plus, so double that, the clients, the revenue, all that. Okay. So that's year one. Now take that doubling. Okay. And then you go, okay, double that for year two. Okay. And then double that for year three. That's year over year doubling. That's 100% year over year. Okay. We did that 3 years in a row. We were so stressed. We had our issues. Every marriage has their issues. But that brought a lot of pressure to marriage, especially when we work from home and we homeschool our daughters. It's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And so you're going through the process of implementing different things, spending money on marketing, hiring employees or subcontractors, buying new software to implement systems, sales funnels, mentorship, marketing training, funnel building, technology, referral partnerships. All those things are little investments into the big asset, which is your business. But we're not investing so much into the business because we want to be in the business and do all the busy work of the business and wear all the hats in the business. The point of business and the point of developing assets is so that the asset can pay you after you're gone. So there's certain assets like Bitcoin that you can purchase and forget about it and just let it sit, because it's going to make you wealthy. Even if you have zero 0.1 Bitcoin, it's going to make you wealthy, especially when a company like Fidelity comes out with a bull prediction by 2038. They're predicting right now a 1 billion with a B for Ben. Bonkers. B for bonkers. By 2038, a $1 billion Bitcoin. The value of one Bitcoin, Fidelity came out with this prediction by 2038 saying that this is going to be worth $1 billion. Well, what's 1/10 of $1 billion? $100 million. So if you did the smart thing and went into debt right now and didn't care about your bills right now, and you wanted to change your family tree 14 years from now, it's going to be before then, but you know what I'm saying? The fullness of that prediction. Now, it's not a guarantee. And most people have bull predictions, median type predictions, basically base predictions, and then bear predictions. Even if Bitcoin in 14 years from now was valued at 100 million, forget a billion, bring the valuation down 90%. Well, you got $100 million Bitcoin by 2038. What's 1/10 of 100 million? 10 million. Good job. Good job. See, the math that you use as a bookkeeper is no more complicated than what I just did in my head. And everybody be like, oh, if I'm going to be a bookkeeper, I got to be good with numbers and like numbers. You're an idiot. Shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about. You just don't know what you're talking about. That's crazy. Anyways. So I'm spitting game to you guys. I'm spitting game. This is the real world. I'm in the real world. I have assets that pay for all of my expenses. Once your assets pay for all of your expenses, you have infinite freedom. Excuse me. Infinite wealth, not freedom. Infinite wealth. Well, I've got a job. That's an asset that pays for all my bills. Cool. But it's not, you're going to have to keep working. Now, I'm not saying working is bad. Maybe you like working. I work. I don't work really hard like I used to. When it comes to like, because I still go over and I'll once 2 or 3 times a year, I'll go trim the hedges at my triplex. So I'll do that. Why? Well, to save money. Right. Okay. I get it. Right. To save money. Okay. Because why? Because I can. Because I'm not working very much in my practice at all. I'm like an hour or two a week right now. For the last 2 months, it's been about an hour or two per week in my practice. There's not much to do right now. It's not going to be like that forever, because I've somewhat taken a break the last 2 months going, dude, I just need to like focus on my health stuff. I want to spend time with my daughters. I want to and catch up on a few things that I need to catch up on with them. I want to read some books. I want to sit in the freaking sun. I want to sweat. I want to get healthy. I want to detoxify my body. I want to get my sleep patterns down. I want to get the is it cortisol? You're trying to reduce cortisol or whatever. I've been dealing with some insomnia, but recently, like the last week and a half, I've been sleeping so good, like a log, like a brick. It's awesome. My body is an investment. Health is an investment. You can't forget those things as an entrepreneur. Lots of entrepreneurs. I mean, the number one killer. Who is it? The Only Answer to Cancer, the guy who wrote that book. He has a 93% cancer cure rate. rate. He cures 93, and it's not like what the doctors say with allopathic medicine and all the people who will try to burn your, hey babe, try to burn the cancer out of your throat with lasers, and then they want to say, oh, that's oh, the cancer's gone, right? But without fail, this is amazing. Without fail, chemotherapy and radiation, without fail, after 5 years, it's a 100% kill percentage. 100% of the people who have radiation chemotherapy and they do that entire process, 100% of them die in 5 years. So it's a lie that they're curing people. You know, now I'm not saying they can't extend life a little, but after 5 years, 100% death. If you go with Leonard Cohen, that's his name, Dr. Leonard Cohen, a Jewish man, a Jewish doctor, brilliant. You're not going to find many Dr. Mirabellis. We know how to pour you a nice slab of concrete. Who said that? Sebastian Maniscalco. He said you don't have a lot of Dr. Mirabellis. You get like Dr. Cohen or Dr. Whatever, some Jewish name or some like East India name or something. For whatever reason, that's the stereotype. But you go, okay, there's not lots of Italians. That's what Sebastian was talking about. Anyways, funny bit. Okay. So Leonard Cohen, 93% cure rating. 93% of the patients that come to him that he treats for cancer, they live. Okay. How did I even get on that? I don't even know. Where was I going with that? I don't know, but I have a life. I could talk about whatever I want. And you're just going to have to sit through it. Or you can flip it. I don't care. Health. Okay, health. Stress. That's what he would say. Stress is the number one killer. It's the number one cause of cancer. Okay, so there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are on the brink of death because their blood pressure is so high. So there's other things you have to think about along this journey, and that's where I go. I ebb and flow. That's my style. Ebb and flow. Ebb and flow. And you think from 20, 21, 22, 3 years in a row, 100% growth year over year, that was exhausting. And then in 2023, we did a lot of investing. And that was the most stressful year of my life, without one doubt, was 2023 and even into the beginning of 24. But we got through it. And then it's like a light switch, or it's like a switch flipped within my company. We had some internal turnover. We had to get the right people on our internal staff. We had to kind of reposition some stuff. And we did. So that kind of set us back a few months. But then back in June, it's like a switch flipped. And you realize, I'm not doing, hold on, this stuff's done? What problems are? No problems. Kim doesn't have any questions. What's going on? We're good. Oh, well, I can read my book today. Oh, cool. That's great. Okay. Now, the last week I've been diving into government contracts because I'm really, I'm finding out a lot about those. I'm finding out how to subcontract to prime contractors to gain past performance and things like that. So that's an investment into that. That's a new thing that I'm working on for this investment. That's the business. I'm working on a new stream of income, a new client base, a new form of bringing in revenue. But the thing is, it's not so intense because we've already built the vehicle. We've built the vehicle, and now we've been through the hiring and the firing. We've been through the ebbs and the flows. We've been through, legal stuff. We've been through threats from people. We finally have a trust that's in partnership with our LLC, and that protects us significantly. And so you go, man, all these things, you can't always see it when you're in the middle of it, dealing with problems every day and working on your character and dealing with stress and all these things. And it seems like some days that your life is out of control. But then you come out the other side and you realize everything you just went through was for this moment where the switch flipped and now the work's done. And you're going, okay, well, what do I do now? That's pretty cool. Okay, well, take that idea where I go, okay, I'm not able to just start here. If I'm just starting out, how do you can't just start where I'm at now? How would you do that? There's too many questions. There's too many things that I wouldn't know. It's kind of like if you were to give a poor person who doesn't have a job who smokes crack, regularly. Sits at home and smokes crack. Okay. How do you give that person $10 million? Okay. And see that he doesn't kill himself. That person doesn't kill himself. He would go spend it all on crack and hookers. That's what he would do. So you can't take something, you can't take an asset, you can't take a resource and give it to someone who's incompetent or foolish, because you're responsible for that person's downfall if you did that. That's what I think. You have some responsibility in the fact that person, it ruined that person's life. It wasn't a blessing. Money is not always a blessing to a poor person. And most of the time, it's not a blessing. Like I'm not talking about paying a bill or something for someone, blessing someone who's in need, someone who's had a bad turn of events, who didn't have a dad, who's an orphan, who is disabled. I don't know. I'm totally for generosity. I'm totally for benevolence. I'm totally for, doing good. I'm totally all about doing good. I love it. I love it. I love being generous. It's better. It's more blessed to give than to receive. That's for sure. It blesses me more to give than to receive, especially when it changes somebody's life for the better. But if I'm just walking around depositing money into people's lives, into people's bank accounts, and they're addicted to crack, that's not being a blessing to them. That's being an enabler to them. Okay, so take that to where I go, okay, well, my business, if 4 years ago you would have just given me what I have now, and I didn't really understand what it took to get that, and I didn't know how to hire and fire, and I didn't have bonus structures that I knew about, and I didn't know how to read the spreadsheets, and I didn't know how to communicate with the clients, and I didn't know how to do prospecting. And you know what I'm saying? You take all that and you go, oh, well, you can't just start in the ideal. You have to start where you're at. Okay. And so I just go, it's the same thing with learning to acquire an asset, where I go, if you're poor now and you want to be rich, you have to learn how to acquire assets. And the way that you acquire an asset is over a long period of time, which is what I was talking about in the beginning. Is most folks overestimate what they can do in a short period of time. And so they run really fast, but there's no consistency, and they burn out, and then they're done. And then, or else it's on to the next thing, or else it's on to the next thing. I think that's what a lot of people do. That's what I did for a long time, because I'm bored easily. Shiny object syndrome. I have to reel that in. It's not that I don't see opportunity everywhere. I do. There's so much opportunity everywhere. It's just that if you're going to capitalize on that opportunity, you've got to simplify. You got to keep it simple. I think that the bigger the vision you have, the more patient you're going to have to be. But if you took where you're at, 40-year-old guy like I was talking about, who doesn't have assets, who has a family, who's broke, who didn't do it right, who had too many kids, he should have been wearing Jimmys, but he had too many kids and now he can't pay the bills for them. That sucks. And that leads back to the man. I've been doing this Wild at Heart video study right now with John Eldridge, and he's talking about men need validation. What greater way to become discouraged when you can't pay the bills for your family? That is not going to validate you. When you can't provide, that just means that you're not enough. Okay. But you signed up for providing, so you have to go do it. And you're going, okay, well, how? What does it mean that maybe you're in a house, maybe you need to downsize, you know? Maybe you need to not go on the vacation. Maybe you need to sell the car. Maybe you need to get rid of the car payments. Maybe you need to pull the kids out of karate and soccer and all the 5 different sports all 3 of them are doing. So downsizing. Point is this. Assets over a long period of time. Okay. If you don't have any assets other than a job, that's fine. But what you have to do is you have to tighten it up. If you want to begin acquiring assets, you have to tighten it up, which means a budget. And then you have to, little by little, every day, learn about acquiring. You have to first identify what asset you want to acquire, and then you have to learn every day about how to acquire that asset. But think about this, okay? Because you're probably not going to learn how to acquire an asset in like a month. I take that back. You could learn how to wholesale real estate in about an hour, if that. It's like a 5-step process. It's pretty simple. And your equation, it's all there for you right there. Okay. But do you want a wholesaling business? Well, you don't know yet. You have to kind of discover that. Now, being 40, you don't have really much time to dink around. You got to go do some stuff. You got to go get on it. But I just go, okay, well, say you took the next year and your goal for the next year was 1 hour a day, which is about 300 hours in a year. 1 hour every working day. If you promise yourself to do this, if you're broke and you think that, and if you were born broke and you're broke now, but you don't want to die broke, then then commit to the learning process and then say to yourself, I want to wholesale 1 house this year. Or I want to purchase 1 investment property subject to this year. Or I want to purchase or start a business this year. And I want to do it within 1 year. And you took 1 solid hour every day of concerted effort and purposeful, intentional effort. And you said 1 hour a day, I'm going to learn how to purchase a whatever it is, whatever the asset is that cash flows on a monthly basis. If you can do that, if you can do 1 hour a day, how can you not? If it only takes less than an hour to learn how to do a subject to real estate deal, or to learn how to do a wholesale deal, or to learn how to negotiate for a business, or to buy an existing or to start a new business, or whatever it may be, how are you incapable, if you have a mind, how are you incapable of 1 hour a day every day for an entire year? How is it possible that you don't acquire that asset? Are you retarded? Are you handicapped? Are you lazy? Are you hopeless? Do you have horrible habits? Do you have character flaws? That's amazing. Everything that will come up, that the obstacle, everything's going to come up in those hours where you're working on learning about and learning how to acquire that asset. Give yourself 300 hours in a year. How can you not do it? How can you not do that? 1 hour a day. one asset a year for 5 years. So if you're 40 and you don't want to be working your day job 5 years from now, and you want to leave an inheritance for your children, and you want to do what the Bible says and be a righteous man, leave an inheritance for your grandchildren. You want to leave some sort of a legacy, okay? You have to buy assets. That's it. End of discussion. You don't have to be a nice guy. You don't have to cold plunge. You don't have to wake up every day at 4 a.m. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do all the hoops and the gyrations and the gymnastics that whatever guru's out there telling you about. All you got to do is go on YouTube. It's $20 a month for a YouTube family subscription. YouTube is my university. I learn anything and everything just about that I want to learn. I learn it on YouTube. I don't have money for a YouTube subscription. It's $20 a month, bro. If you can't do $20, I mean, like, there's, oh my God. Like, I can't even. You can't do $20 a month. You're a loser. You're just a loser. And I don't know what to tell you. I can't help you then. Sorry. Yesterday, I was telling you about, well, I need mentorship. Okay. So you want to start a business? Well, I want to start a business, but I don't know what to do. So I need a mentor. I go, okay, well, go exhaust YouTube. Okay. I just saved this 4 hour. This is this dude from 15. He just did 15 or 20 years of doing business. This dude, I don't even know his name. He just said, after 15 years of doing business, here is how you start, grow, scale, and sell a business. And he has a 4-hour course and it's free on YouTube. But that's not the only course. There's a lot of that stuff. Pace Morby. Oh my God. People think, oh, I need to go purchase the sub 2. I need to go get a sub 2. I need to join the sub 2 community to learn how to buy subject to properties. No, you don't. You have to go on YouTube and search for his 4-hour course on how to buy subject to properties or buying properties for subject to. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So one thing that will definitely forever make you poor and keep you poor and keep you from leaving that legacy for your descendants, for your family tree. One thing that will definitely sidetrack you from that, and it will ambush your destiny, is making excuses. For people who want to do something, they're going to find a way. For people who say they want to do something, but they really don't, they're going to find an excuse. So I don't know how else to spit the game, y'all. The asset is the answer if you want wealth. And I go, because, okay, you've heard of compound interest. Okay, what about compound knowledge? What about compound experience? It works the same as compound interest. If you take 300 hours, year one, it's 1 hour every working day. 1 hour, either before you go to work or after you get home from work. You take 1 hour to not just get knowledge, but apply that knowledge. So it's knowledge and application. You do that 300 hours, strictly 300 hours, and you hold yourself to that for an entire year. You'll have that asset, whatever the asset is. And then what you do the next year is you commit again to another 300 hours and to get the next asset. You get that asset. And so after 300 hours, how much more knowledge would you have and experience and know-how, real world application for 300 hours? And then you go to the next year and you do another 300, well, that's 600 hours. And then year 3, that's 900 hours. And then year 4, that's 1,200 hours. And then year 5, 1,500 hours. So after 5 years, 1,500 hours and 5 assets. You should have 5 assets in 5 years that pay you on a regular basis. And if by that point, when you have acquired 1 asset a year for 5 years in a row, and you've compounded your knowledge and your skill set and your application in the real world, if you're not at the point yet where you can quit your day job, well, then you're just going, okay, well, how do I calculate then? So I need 2 more assets that give me $2,000 each per month or something like that. You go, okay, how am I going to do that year 5? Okay. Or it's year 5. So I've got to do that for year 6. Now I've got to get 2 assets that give me this amount of money every year. My gap is 4,000 per month, X more than I'm making now, and then I can quit my day job. Awesome. And then I can do this investing thing full time. Cool. Okay, 5 years. Do you not have 5 years? You're 40. Say you're 40. You don't want to change your life in 5 years. Is that too much work? To change your life and your lifestyle in 5 years, that's too much work? Are you a crackhead? Are you a sugar junkie? Are you a Netflix binge watcher? Are you a media abuser? Are you a snacks abuser? Are you a stress abuser? Are you a total loser? Have you given up all hope? Are you incapable? Stupid people do this, bro. There were autistic people that literally, autistic people. When I say retard, I'm not talking about actual people with autism. Okay, they didn't choose their disability. The pharmaceutical companies did. But that's for another conversation. This is so important. It's the most important concept for becoming rich, okay? But as that knowledge and that experience compounds, that's really the thing. That's really the thing. You don't need the paycheck. It's not the paycheck. It's the knowledge. It's the know-how. It's the lifestyle. It's what you can pass down from you to your descendants. So, okay, I've said enough. So, don't underestimate the power of what is this? Don't underestimate the power of consistent moves every day over a long period of time. You may not be starting in the ideal, but if you have a clear vision and a clear direction, and if you can control your lesser self and give yourself a command and follow through with it and implement self-control, and you can do that every day, you can change your life through acquiring assets. And if you do what I'm telling you to do, you're going to change your life and the life of your descendants, and you're going to change your family tree. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out. Like, share, subscribe. Share it with someone who you think could use it as an encouragement, as a butt kick. It's something that will help them get to where they want to go in their life. We all of us, our desire is that we could find someone who could hold us to the things that we know we're capable of. And one of the things that gets in the way of that is the ego. And you just go, oh, I can't, the ego, the poser. Men are posers. Learn about this in Wild at Heart. They're posers. They don't want anybody to know that they need help because that's weakness. They don't want to be wrong about anything. They don't want to take any risks. They don't want to be found out that they're not enough, right? They don't want to be found out that they're not enough, that they can't handle it, that they're not validated. And when you start working on yourself and working on your knowledge and your mind, you realize that you are not enough. But it's in reach. That person that you want to be is in reach. It's right there if you'll just take the bull by the horns. Okay. Love y'all. BenjaminMira.com. Talk to you soon.